Hello, hello, hello. What is up and welcome back. I am your hostess doing the mostest, Givenchy. Just a little disclaimer. If you hear a little air in the background, well, my little Shih Tzu decided to take a little Shih Tzu inside the kennel. So, me home. Hey y'all, what up? We are back with another recap episode, and if you did not read the title of the episode, then you can tell by the opening of this that we are going to be recapping season 1, episode 1 of Supacell. Okay, Supacell is a show that is taking the internet by storm. You can catch it on Netflix, and I'm pretty sure all 6 episodes are out for you to do what? Binge. And this is what it's about. So it's a random group of 5 Londoners who just get some superpowers. So I would like to know if the story behind this TV show was inspired by that day all black people were supposed to get their superpowers. I really need to look up to see who created this because inquiring minds. But before we get into the recap, this is going to be an unofficial sponsorship. It's unofficial because nobody knows that this sponsorship even exists. So this episode is not sponsored by Via Ray Prosecco Wines because I'm classy. Okay, got it in a little coffee cup for those Zoom meetings, if you know what I mean. But you know, just a little booze, a little aperitif, you know, to get the juices flowing, to get the accent, bruv. Okay, so Supacell season 1. Okay, now going into it, I already was gonna watch it because hello, it's like the Black Power Rangers. I'm always here for a show with sci-fi, fantasy, anything like that with black people that have powers. And one of the premises of the show, well, the main premise, when I went on Netflix to see what it was about, it was like, oh, these 5 people randomly get some superpowers one day. And that's what I want. I want to wake up and like stretch and yawn a little bit and then like boom, like the walls explode. Like, or like Gen V when she got her period and then she was a bloodbender. Like these are the things that I want to happen in my life. So off rip, before even hitting play, I was like, I'm in. Then I had everybody and their mama, you gotta watch this, you gotta watch this, you gotta watch this, you gotta watch this. So I watched it. So let's just dive right on in. Y'all know I got my notes. You know I got my notes because I cannot rely on this brain anymore. Not like that. It be letting me down sometimes. Y'all be letting me down. All right, so Supacell season 1 episode 1. All right, so we open it up and we're in some type of like underground, it's giving Stranger Things, underneath the earth prison situation. And we see this woman with like running down. She's in a hospital gown and she's running and she's trying to get away, and all the alarms and stuff are going off because security sees it on the cameras. So she running, keep running and then she gets to this door and she's trapped and she's just like, oh my god, where am I gonna go? There's nowhere to go. I can't go back. So the only thing I can do is go through. So then boom, y'all know when people was wearing them doo-doo colored contact lenses. So her eyes did that thing and then she blew the door down, okay? And she stopped and she smiled a little bit at her victory and they shot her in the back. Now, off rip, I'm like, okay. Okay. Then it got worse, y'all. It got worse. It got real slavery. Okay, so they're dragging her through the halls. Blood is just smearing everywhere, all on the floor like a mop. And they're going through this area and it's like glass on both sides, but it's muffled, so like that tempered glass that you can't break. And you see all these black people in these cages behind this glass, and they're just dragging this woman by the ankle, and it just instantly, I almost paused. I'm gonna just be real, because it just reminded me of like when a slave act out, then they use that slave as the example, and then, you know, remove the word slave and just make it Black history in America. You know what I'm saying? So they're doing this thing, and I'm like, okay. So we open up with that traumatic scene, and then we just cut to a woman walking down the street, and this guy is like pulling up in this blue drop top. Y'all remember when you'd be like, "Ooh, what you want? Drop top, a convertible?" Because we didn't know the names. So he pulls up in this drop top, cruising the streets, and he's hitting on this girl, and he was like, "Let me just be your friend," and she was like, "My boyfriend, my best friend, so I don't need no new friends." And I said, I like that. Anyway, turns out they went together, and it was just them doing like a little role play thing, which I thought was so cute. And it turns out that he bought her the car. So apparently money is doing great. They just moved into a house. He's picking up all these extra shifts. He says that the math is mathing, but she says he's not good at math, so I don't know. But she took them car keys anyway. So I just thought it was really cute opening, like, oh, look at this young couple after just seeing like this tragic start of events, and I like them. Next we jump to this lady sitting in a restaurant with her son, who we find out is AJ, and I'm gonna save the critiques to the end. So she's sitting in this restaurant, and then this other guy comes in. So while I will critique at the end, I'm gonna stop here and say, this is a show within the first 5 minutes that I knew, don't get on the internet, don't check your phone, don't do nothing. So there's a lot of like jump cuts, like jump cut, jump cut, jump cuts, different scenarios, things that don't readily make sense. So this is definitely something that you have to pay attention to. So as I'm recapping it in the way that the show is going. So if it feels a little disjointed, it's because we're getting a lot of jump cuts in introducing some people. So let me go backwards real quick. So the guy and the girl in the beginning, they are Mike and Dion. So then we jump cut to Andre, which is a father, Aisha, which is the mother of the child, and then AJ, which is like a preteen, and that's their son. So he must have showed up late to the restaurant, and there has to be some type of like custody thing or some type of child support thing going on, and he's supposed to be there, and this is just him spending like a couple of hours with his son. And he's like, "Oh, you know, thanks for coming," and she held her hand out because she wanted money. And so he was like, he gave her like $150, and she was like, "Where's the rest?" And he was like, "Look, I've been working doubles, I've been putting in overtime, like I just don't have it right now." And so she's like, "Well, I'm about to take my son to leave." Me personally didn't like that. Now, this is just episode 1. I don't know the dynamics or if there's any type of deadbeatism going on in the situation, but the way that it came across the screen is that she maybe punishes him even when he's doing his best, and uses a lack of funds, or uses funds or however much money he can give her to basically buy access to his child. I don't like that. I don't know any significance. I just know that that was the dynamic, and I wasn't here for it. So anyway, he was like, "Aisha, girl, I'm trying." And so she was like, "Okay, I'll be back in a couple of hours." And then the son comes back to the bathroom, and he pulls out this iPhone that he got for his son. And I briefly thought, I'm gonna park here real quick, and I briefly thought about child support. The primary parent deals with a lot, like take money out of it, your time, your sanity, your sleep. When you get sick, you don't really have no time off. If you're not really using a support system, everything falls on you. Versus, you know, giving the money to the mother or the primary parent to do all the work, or do you just put all the money into the care of the child, like giving the teenager a phone, buying him some new clothes, making sure he get a haircut, pitching in on any tuition fees, sports, and stuff like that. So I just wanted to, I paused there because I'm just like, with this dynamic, the fact that they showed us, I'm gonna investigate it. And I'm just like, huh, his son was really happy that he got the phone, and the ex got $150. So the son has a means of communication, and now you don't have to spend the $150 and you can kind of pocket it. I don't know. Next, we jump to this like house party, some like secret party, and everybody all mysterious and everything going on. And this guy walk in looking like a fake Vince Staples, and this girl peeps him, and she's like texting somebody on the phone. And I was trying to read it, but it was just a lot going on. So it turns out the person who entered looking all mysterious, his name is Taser. And so these people, these little gang members, I don't know if it's like, I don't even know, y'all. I don't know what type of gang. It ain't the type of gang that I recognize here in the US. So they go outside and they like, come on, bruv, come on, put him up. And this whole thing was happening, and you're getting this whole little West Side Story scenario in the middle of the street, when I literally, a bunch of niggas on one side, a bunch on another side, somebody in a red jacket, somebody in a blue jacket. Like, it's giving very much contrast. And so they throwing up the dukes or whatever, and then Chucky slashes Taser. And so all the homies on Taser's side was like, oh, he's getting active, and we're not about it. So they left, they dipped. So Taser is in the middle of the road bleeding out, and everybody dispersed. Cops and stuff is coming or whatever. And I'm just like, wow, we need to rethink our occupation, because all my friends left me. Next, we're moving on to the next day, I'm assuming, and we see Mike, the delivery guy. He's going to drop off some a package at this place, and this girl, who we find out is named Shar, answers the door, and she was like, are you here with that package? I know another package that you can drop off. Are you sure? I mean, doing a lot. Okay, he like, no. So then she goes back, and you see her with her roommate Sabrina, and they do the whole, girl, do you think he gay? Because how could you not want this? I guess. So they laugh, they kiki about everything. Sabrina is getting ready. I could kind of tell by her clothes that she works at the hospital. So she getting ready to go to work, and we were just kind of briefly there. Sabrina, Shar, she's flirting with Mike. She don't know Mike. This is just the neighborhood delivery guy. So then we move on to Andre hard at work. He's sitting next to his coworker. He was like, yo, like, thank you for hooking me up with this job. Like, it's clutch. I'm getting to see my son again. I'm able to give money to Aisha, and things are looking up. The boss comes out, and he's like, oh, hey, everybody who's trying to do that overtime, go ahead and slide the little sticker to the side, and then everybody else clock out. Like, I'm not charging you a second more. So then he's like, hey, Andre, can you come into my office real quick? So apparently the homeboy who hooked him up was like, hey, they say that they do DBS searches. I don't know what DBS means, guys. I don't know. I'm gonna assume it's a background check. So I guess he must have told him, like, hey, they be doing background checks. They say they do background checks, but they really don't. So Andre goes into the office, and he gets fired. I don't know what they found in the background, but he's really upset, and he leaves. And so he's arguing with the coworker. He was like, you said that they don't check. And he was like, bro, they've not checked nobody. I don't know why they checked you today. Like, I'm really sorry. Like, I don't know what's up. Some random dude come walking up on them real fast. Now, I don't know how they do it in London, but the fact that Andre didn't stop and instantly like try to punch this dude pulling up or get defensive is really weird to me, because he pulled up like rolling up. Like, you see these two people over here arguing and you roll up in the middle of them and you're like, hey, y'all trying to buy a, I don't know drug speak. You trying to get a lick? You trying to get a lick? Trying to get a lick. And they like, so Andre finally is like, bruv, don't you see we're in the middle of something? I don't know. I'm butchering it. Y'all, it's okay. Find me on Twitter and jump me in the comments. All right, so Andre shoos him alone, and then we see this same random dude walk up to Mike, and he was like, hey, bruv, you want some drugs? And Mike is like, are you a cop? Like, what is happening? He's like, no, I'm just trying to sell some drugs. Like, literally just like, do you want some drugs? I don't understand how nobody punched him. I'm confused. Anyway, Mike exchanges numbers, but he on a high. He's just like, I got my boo a new car. I'm feeling good. Money is right. My baby is tight. The air is clean. The sky is blue. Okay, so they exchange numbers, and you know, they exchange a little something, and then we find out that this guy's name is Rod, and he gets a little money, but yeah, the way that he be popping up, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. So in the next scene, we're in the hospital and we see Sabrina sitting at the nurse's station, and a group of guys from before. So a group of guys come in and they like, hey, we here to see Taser. And she was like, she looks him up and she was like, okay, go to room 113. I don't know if that was the room number. Now let's pause here. I work in the medical field, and I've worked in emergency and trauma situations. Certain traumas, when people come in for, there is a strict check with the patient to make sure that these people can come back and are able to come back. So you got a stab victim. 5 niggas pull up to the nurse's station and say, hey, we here to see Taze. And you be like, oh yeah, right this way. Is that how they do in London? Is that real? Is that a real scenario? Because if something would have happened to that man, she and everybody else on staff would have been fired. That's just insane to me. So I know it's fiction. Givenchy is just fiction, but like, it's 2024. Let's be close to real life. Like, we already know this is a sci-fi fantasy. Don't let the regular stuff that actually happens in real life also be fake. That's all I'm asking. So they get to the room, and mind you, it was dark, so I don't know who these dudes are either. They could have been part of the other group. And turns out it was part of Taser's crew, because they walk in there and they was like, bruh, we're sorry we left you in the middle of the street to die out, bruh. Let me see your scar. Oh, that looks cool. That looks cool. You got street cred. You got street cred now. Hey, bro, we'll never do that shit again. We'll never do that shit again. We'd rather die. Dead ass, they was dapping it up. They was like, yo, we are so sorry on behalf of our crew. We're gonna go back to our HR and our PR department, and we're gonna make sure that we take care of our CEO, all right? So Taser forgives them, and it's so funny because I remember I texted my friend and I was like, this part was so funny, and she was just like, she found it so odd that he just forgave them so fast, because it's like legit. If I'm fighting in a gang war with my crew and something pop off and I'm left, the moment something pop off, everybody disperse. Come on. What you thought this was? Just big jackets and talking a lot of noise? Like, no. Hands are being thrown. So the fact that he forgave them, I was just like, oh, Pookie. It was like looking at the Rugrats. It's like if the Rugrats wanted to have a gang war. Like, you thought she was gonna do this because it was cool, but the moment you got hurt and the moment it got real, you you found out you wasn't built like this. Next, we see Michael jubilantly walking down the hallway, and the group of homeboys come out, and he goes into the room and he's going to see his mama. And then this white lady and this doctor come in, and I'm assuming that race is going to play a part in this, especially because of the beginning. Like, all of the guards, minus the one security guard on the camera, like all the guards with the guns and some evil like Dr. Evil dude watching the whole thing go down, all of them are white. So this white lady come in the room and she's like, "Hey, Tina girl." And Tina was like, "How you know me?" And we found out her name is Victoria, and she was like, "Oh, well, your son told us everything about you." And he kind of gives her this look like, "I didn't." So, but I don't know if it's a "no, I didn't," or "yo, don't tell her like everything." I don't know if he wanted it to be a secret, or if she maybe embellished a little bit on their conversation. Anyway, we find out that she is from this place called Health Immunity, where they work on like doing blood transfusions and different type of procedures for people with sickle cell. And so she asked Mike, "Do you have the sickle cell trait?" And the mama was like, "No, he's good, he's healthy," like blah blah blah. And so they ended up leaving, and Mike was like, "Ma, you know, I just want you to get healthy, and this is gonna be great. It's gonna be less invasive, less painful, and you're gonna be out the hospital, like, and you're gonna be good to go." So I thought that was really sweet, but at this point I don't trust Victoria, so it don't really matter what's happening on the screen, because Victoria, I don't trust you. Now, moving on to the next scene, we see Rod in the car with somebody who looked like they do drugs on the rig. And this was funny a little bit because we're on the scene for like a very brief moment, and the guy gives him like 6 pounds in coins, and so he gives him 6 pounds worth of drugs. And then we move on, and Rod really barely made 20 pounds all day, and he's feeling like a bad drug dealer. He was like, I just feel like I'm peddling drugs, I'm just like pushing drugs all day. Well, you are, but you're also like, "Hi guys, want some drugs?" Like, there's no finesse, there's no nothing. And his friend was like, "It's cool, like, you gonna be good, you know, we can get on next time." And then Rod says, "You know, that's easy for you to say because you got somewhere to go. When this don't pan out, like, at the end of the day, you got somewhere to go." So we kind of see that maybe Rod is homeless, or maybe his home situation is not necessarily the best. And we also get to see that you pushing drugs with a friend who is well off than you, but this friend did not offer you a place to stay either. So it's really giving fake friends. So while Rod is being all down on himself because he can't sell no drugs, we go back to the prison from the beginning, and this girl is banging on the glass, and it's like really, really muffled, and she's like, "I want my call, I want my call." So clearly they've been told that they're in jail or have been arrested for some reason, because the way she was saying it is like my one phone call, and she hasn't been given that. And then we move to Mike and Dion sitting in their house, cuddled up, being cute, and they watching like their own little TV show within a TV show of like Love Island. And I thought that was so cute that they were watching it. I don't know anybody that's like successfully done show within the shows, or if people were really doing shows within the shows before Issa Rae on Insecure. So shout out to Issa Rae being a creator, an innovator, because now like you're seeing whole like skits on a TV that's not like old footage. Like sometimes movies and TV will pull old footage, or you'll just hear like a game show in the background, but they won't show you the TV thing. And so this was actually real footage, so I thought that was really, really cute. And Dion pulls up on Facebook and she's sharing an image of this little black girl, and it just so happened to be the black girl from the previous scene, and her name is Jasmine Johnson, and it's still missing. And so Dion talks about, you know, if her name was like Helen McCann, I don't know, then it would be all over the news. But all we have for black people is to share stuff on Facebook and Twitter and social media. And then Dion mentions, you know, well, we're gonna go see her mom tomorrow, and that somebody named Terry thinks that the mom is in on it. And so then she shares it, and when she shared it, the post refreshed, and then you see a picture of the mom, and that's the same lady who got shot in the back in the beginning. So now I'm like, wait, the girl is missing. The girl's been missing for 2 months. You're saying, oh yeah, we're gonna go see the mom tomorrow. So nobody knows the mom is missing. So this, now I'm like perked up, because I'm like, whoa. So, you know, they're having their conversations just kind of about how those things work. You know, whether it's London, US, you don't see a lot of traction when it comes to black and brown people being missing. But Mike wants to lighten the mood, and he's like, hey babe, you got this new car. I just want to wine and dine you, baby. We're going out on Friday. And she's like, what? For what? And so the way she responded, you can kind of tell that she's not used to being loved the way that she deserves. Because even from the beginning with the car and now this, it's like, girl, we just going out to get something to eat. And she's like, for what? And he's like, well, I gotta be something. Like, I just want to take you out. Like, you my boo, you my babe. Like, girl, we got a house. We are head in mortgage. We got a new car. Like, life is up, and I just want to celebrate. So she's like, okay, boo. Treat me like a treat me. You know what I'm saying? So Taser is released from the hospital, and I shouldn't have laughed at this. So Taser's released from the hospital, and he going with his homeboys, and he like, hey, what up? And they were like, yo, Taze, what up? Yo, Chucky dropped this bomb-ass diss track. And Chucky is the dude that cut Taser, and they over here crip walking to Chucky's diss song about Taser. So of course he snatched their phone, and all I could think about is, does Drake people have to secretly listen to Not Like Us because he gonna get mad? They not like us. They not like us. They not like us. Hey, they not like us. Let me stop. They over there listening to music, and Taser was like, cut that shit out. Absolutely not. We need to figure out how we gonna take over, because now that Crazy is locked up or gone or disappeared, Chucky think he runs stuff, and this is our time to shine. This is our time to go. So they over there in a gaggle trying to come up with their little teenage plans, or early young adult plans, and Mike is pulling up, and he listened to a voice note, and Dion like, baby, I love you so much. Like, I was tripping earlier. You can wine and dine me, and I look forward to it. Boo, you my boo, and I just love you, and I just feel so girly, and it's just a soft life. And Mike is just cheesing, I mean, all of his teeth. Okay, I see his uvula. He is just smiling so hard. And then so he gets out, and he's doing his little delivery. He got a little pep in his step. He's skipping or whatever. And here goes the little scrappy dudes surrounding his truck, and they're like, what you doing over here? And he was like, delivery. What you mean? Don't you know it's a fee? You gotta pay the troll to cross the toll. And he was like, okay, since when? But also wasn't aware. So they're surrounding him, and then they drop it out his hand, and so they're jumping him, and they fighting it. Out of nowhere, Mike gets stabbed in the chest, and then the knife gets pulled back, and you see that Taser stabbed him. And in this moment, I'm like, Taser, there was no reason to stab him other than the fact that you felt emasculated and embarrassed in front of your friends because you got stabbed by Chucky and you didn't do nothing about it. Like, there was no reason to stab this man at all. So they all dispersed or whatever. They, oh, yo, let's go, let's go, let's go. Taze, let's go, let's go. And so Mike is laying on the ground, and he got stabbed like in a spot that he would not have lived. And then all of a sudden, we get the contact eyes and we go back, and it's like a deja vu, and it's like a redo. So he is aware that something is happening, and he's saying the same things he just said, and they're saying the same things they just said. But then he gets to a point where he changes a little bit of what he said, and he was like, look, I didn't know. I'm not trying to start nothing. I'm just trying to do my deliveries. And the first time around, you just see all the homies. You see Taser and the Vandellas, and all you see is the Vandellas on the first go around, and then you see Taser at the end being the one with the knife when he pulled it back. But now, when he goes back in time, you get a wide shot and you see Taser was in the back waiting and watching this whole time. And so Taser walks up and he's like, all right, this your warning, this, that, and the third. This is the feed. Go ahead and drop this package off and then get on to your route. So Mike is like, all right, bet. But he is aware that something has happened. But he's also aware that he is not dead or dying at this point. So now it's getting a little juicy. So we're going back to Rod. Rod is in a car and the car just don't work. But apparently he got to be on the other side of town to sell some drugs at some event. Child, I don't know. Rod got to be the worst drug dealer I've ever seen written. And I'm sure as a writer, I know that it was written this way. And he's kind of, it's kind of like a setup for like the comic relief. Somebody who's funny and comical and has comical situations, but there may be some complex thing going on in the background, but we don't know. But this man is having a hell of a day and it is not good. And so they like, you need to take a bus, a train, a bike, a trike, something, and get on this side of town. You need to be here in 15 minutes. So he's like, oh, whatever. He gets out and the bus is leaving. And so he's running and he's screaming after the bus and he's like, yo, like, come back. And like, wait. And then out of nowhere, my man turned into the Flash and boosted his way all the way to Scotland. So his eyes did the little amber contact lens thing in the middle of it. And it was so fast that when he stopped, he didn't recognize where he was. And so he asked this old lady, like, where I'm at. And she was like, you in Edinburgh. And he was like, Edinburgh, like Scotland? And she was like, what other Edinburgh? Like, sir, did you go to school? And so he lost. He don't know how he got there. So now we're seeing like, okay, some random happenings in moments of desperation, right? So we see 2 moments of desperation and this thing is activating inside of them. So now we're kind of getting into some of the plot. At least we're recognizing who's gonna be in the magical book of London Negroes. We're back at Sabrina and Char's house and Sabrina's getting ready and you know they just chopping it up. I really love Sabrina and Char. Just from the little bit that I know of them up until this point, just the way that they joke around with each other, the chemistry between both of them, it just gives sister, it gives best friend in real life. So Char like, girl, where you going? And Sabrina was like, girl, I'm going out with my man. And she was like, you wouldn't know nothing about that and the things that it takes to sustain a relationship, okay? It takes work, okay? And I know he stood me up that last time, but he said his mama was sick and, you know, he making it up to me tonight, girl. If you had a man, girl, you would know it. And Sharp was like, girl, you remember Craig? We was off and on for 2 years, mostly off. And then Sabrina was like, but he in jail. And she was like, okay, and he cute. And Sabrina was like, but you're not gonna be here for 35 years. And she was like, fuck nah. I'm just saying the idea is cute, you know, hold him down. But she was like, okay, boo, well, I'm gonna go out, you have a little fun on your little date or whatever, catch me up with all the details when you get back. So Char coming back in the house and Sabrina sitting on the bed looking just all forlorn, looking like she already started eating all the words that she said to Char. So Char was like, what's up? And she was like, oh, he gonna be here soon. And she was like, okay, well, did he say like what was up when you called him? Well, I called him, but see what had happened was he didn't answer my phone call, and then he had said he had texted me and was like, I'm busy and can't call. So Char was like, he can press the end button on his phone, then send you a custom text that says that he can't talk right now, but he couldn't pick up the phone to say that. She was like, girl, we pulling up. And Sabrina was like, I'm not that type of girl. And Char said, bitch, I am. And I loved it. I was just like, I fell in love. I fell in love. Char, I don't know how many episodes you're gonna be in. I love you. I love you. I love you. So Char was like, girl, get your coat. Okay, reverse some tears, cause we're pulling up. So everybody's plotting at night, and Andre is walking around on the phone with Aisha, lying and promising that he finna pay her some money, knowing he just got fired from his job. So Andre pulled up to the ATM at night, and it was sketchy. I was like, man, this must be like a safe town. I would not have done that. It wasn't even a light at the ATM. I'm like, again, never been to London. I've been to a lot of places in Europe. Never been to London. Me personally, I wouldn't have went to that ATM. But I don't know. I digress. So he goes and he puts in his card, and my man's got negative $3.93. And he's pissed, so he calls his friend. He's like, yo, the friend hasn't, apparently at this point, has not been answering the rest of his phone calls all day. So he's leaving his voicemail, and he was like, yo, they still need to pay me for the hours that I gave. Like, where is my money? Where is my check? And he's on the phone like, Aisha's never gonna let me see my son again if I don't have any money. Like, I need to have something call me back. And so my heart is breaking. Like, I'm gonna be real. Like, I'm gonna be real. My heart is breaking because Andre really wants to be there. And it just sucks when you see a parent really, really trying and circumstances are just not on their side whatsoever. So yeah, I just was hurting with him. So he is upset, and he's just like banging on the ATM machine. He's just punching it, and then his eyes do the doo-doo brown, and he punches it, in the whole like ATM plus the brick like wall foundation starts cracking, and all this money starts coming out. And so he get into the money, pick it up. But there's a camera across the street, so this is the first time that we see anybody caught in like a supernatural situation, because he was definitely caught on camera punching it and the whole thing cracking. So, you know, insert somebody in the government is going to pull the footage. So Taser's at home, you know, and I love when gangbangers be going home to their grandma and then they turn into like little kids. He walking up in the house, he like, hey grandma, da da da. And she was like, Tase, boo, come back here. So I found this shirt. What happened? Where were you? You know how when your family be like, so you want to tell me what happened in school today? And they've never asked you about your life ever. So he was like, oh, it was some juice. And she was like, boy, I wasn't born yesterday or last night. I'm not dumb. You out there running these streets, okay? And I told your mama that I wasn't gonna let nothing happen to you. And he was like, that woman ain't my mama. A mother ain't somebody that abandons their kids or whatever. And then you see like a little, the camera pans, and you see a picture of Taser with the lady from the beginning. So I'm like, what is going on? So the mama at the beginning who got shot has a child in captivity, and a child who only knows that this lady vanished. And so grandma like, look, you think you finna make something in these streets? All these black boys out here dying, and you over here trying to be like Craig, who you was following before. Now remember, Craig is the dude who potentially got 35 years and was on and off with Char, who's Sabrina's roommate and best friend. Okay, follow me, stay with me. So he was like, with all due respect, can I go now? And she let him go because he's hurting and she's doing her best. Okay, my favorite part of the episode. Sabrina and Shar is sitting outside the house and they just watching, and it's not active. It's not active. So Sabrina's like, I can't believe I let you talk me into coming over here. Ain't nothing happening. I don't even see his car. Like, he not home. And she was like, girl, call him. And he not answering the phone. She was like, girl, something is fishy. Something is off. Like, if you're not gonna go up there, I will. He ain't my man and I'm not above it. I'm absolutely beneath it and I will go to hell behind you. So then somebody's ordering food. And so Shara was like, ooh, let's go. Because if nobody was at home, why is food delivery getting dropped off with Uber Eats? So Shara walks up and she was like, ooh, hey, I'll take that. Thank you. Get ready to go in. The delivery person had already rung the doorbell. So she kind of caught him in the middle of like, oh, you rang the doorbell, but oh no, I just got home. Thank you so much. So the delivery guy was like, bet, and walked off. And then this girl opens the door and Sabrina was like, no, Shara was like, I know you fucking lying. And the lady is like, are you gonna give me my food? She looking around like, do you want a cookie? Like, do you want a tip? I don't know. And so Sabrina was like, Shar, just go to the car because you finna make this worse. And so Sabrina looks at the girl and she was like, I'm Sabrina and I've been dating Kevin for 9 months. And the girl said, I don't know her name, and I've been dating him for 2 months. Like, you and me both. Like, we all go together. So you hear Kevin in the background talking about, hey, babe, what's taking so long, da da da. And so he opens the door and he sees Sabrina standing there. And the girl was like, yeah, I'm done with you. So she walks back in the house. She's like, I'm finna get ready and leave. And Sabrina's like, you know what? I've been putting up with this mess. I've been with you for 9 months. Like, boom, I'm done. I can't believe you. So she walks off. Y'all, you know how these dudes do. Oh my God. There has to be like a pocketbook of sayings that they reach from for certain scenarios. And it's 98% of the time it's never the right thing. He don't say, baby, I'm sorry for lying or whatever, two-timing you or whatever. He says, yo, why you show up here like this in the first place? Like, that's foul. So he's accusing her of being wrong for pulling up. And so she is livid and she's walking off and he goes to try to grab her hand because he somehow is mad at her. And so as he grabs her arm forcefully, her eyes do the ring of superpowers, and she turns around and pushes him and she's like, get your hands off me. And he flies back into his building. And then end scene on her, like, she's a little bit like, whoa. And then she hurries up and get the hell out of there. All right, so it's 7 p.m. Friday. It's 95 degrees. I got no, and no, ain't got me. And Dion and Mike is at the restaurant. Okay, they're on their date. And he has told Dion about this deja vu moment. So he's kind of like going over it in his head. And she's like super giddy because the food got to be hidden. Because she's trying to be supportive of him, but she is like, her mood and his mood is two completely different things. So she's like, babe, so do you just have this deja vu moment? Like, sometimes things happen. Like, let's just enjoy the night. And the waiter comes over and puts this plate in front of her, and it's a cheesecake, and it says, will you marry me? So she was like, they got the wrong plate. Waiter. So she gets up, she chases behind him. She's like, hey, come back. And he's like, Dion. And then she turns around and he's on his knees. And she was like, get the fuck up. Get up. I know you lying. This is not real. And I just love the realness of this woman playing this character, because I know he wanted to have an intimate moment at the table underneath the candlelight and everything, but because she apparently feels that these fairy tale things won't happen to her or somehow can't happen to her, she now made this proposal very much public, because there's a huge scene and he's trying to get her to believe, like, no, this was not an accident. I want to marry you. And it was so sweet, because that moment tickled him and he was just giggling and he was just like, I cannot imagine spending my life without you. You make me smile all day. Whenever I'm having a bad day, I think of you. When I come home, that's all I want to do is be with you, with your arms wrapped around me and telling me that it's okay. Like, it was honestly hashtag black love. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. I forgot about him being in a bad mood. And it was just really cute. It was really sweet. And she said yes. So we get back to the house and she's like, kind of like, oh my gosh. You know when they be looking at their finger. And so she put the keys down. He was like, hey, you want me to run you a bath? And she turned him around, snatched him by that shirt, threw him against the wall, and baby, it was on like Donkey Kong. She said, get over here and let me congratulate you. So they are having a good time. Mike is getting more and more out of his move, and they is getting it on. Let's get it on. Oh, let's get it on. And she leans to go kiss him, to like look in his eyes before kissing him, and they had the ring of Supa in his eyes. And so she's freaked out and she pushes him, and he goes into like a completely different like dimension. So he goes, and it's these people in hoods with these black hoods, and they all black, and they fighting and all these different things going on. And you start to see Rod, and then you see Sabrina, then you see Taser, and then you see this hooded figure just kind of off to the side. And who am I missing? Sabrina, Rod, Taser, and Andre. And so they all see Mike show up, but then they're still battling and they're still fighting or whatever. And this portal opens up, and this guy like hurry up and get in front of Mike, and then you see it's Mike looking at Mike. So Mike is like, what the hell is going on? Like, why do you look like me? And other Mike was like, because I am you and you're in the future. So present day Mike is like, what the hell is going on between the sheets in my home? And he ends up teleporting in to a grave, because Mike is like, he having a conniption, like, send me back. How do I get back? I like, what is going on? And he's into a gravesite, and he was like, look, you in the future, okay, and some things are going to happen. And he's showing him this particular grave, and future Mike was like, you know, this happens 3 months after the proposal. And Mike is like, that's impossible. Like, I just proposed today. He was like, sir, how many times do I have to tell you? We're in the future. Like, do I have to say it slow for you? Like, what's up? What's not clicking? What's not clicking? And so you see on the headstone, it's Dion. And apparently she dies 3 months after the proposal. And future Mike was like, we gotta figure out a way for you in that time frame to change the course of events so that this and other tragedies don't happen. And that ends the episode. All right, so let me take a sip. I don't want to say the good and the bad. I will say, let me get the constructive criticism out of the way. First and foremost, and this is a problem that I have with streaming services versus the older style model of network television. There were so many jump cuts in this episode that if you do not pay attention, you will miss something. If you're somebody who has a hard time following shows like Game of Thrones or like the How to Get Away with Murder, I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna be tough. Another thing is what I was alluding to when I first talked about like streaming versus the old style model, because shows, especially black shows, especially black entertainment, because we're not getting season 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I felt like they just gave us all they had in the pilot episode with the hopes that they got funding to do a season. So the name of episode 1 is called Michael, and I didn't know who Michael was until I was about 6 minutes into the episode. And for a show, for each show I looked, each show is named after a place. Go. Each episode is named after a character. So if the episode is named after a character, then in my mind, I think the focus would be more on the character. But we met every single one of them and all of their moments in which they got their superpowers. And so it was just really a lot. It was very overstimulating because I didn't know who to focus on. And a lot of shots could have happened without showing other people's faces. I felt like we could do without showing Rod go from Andre to Michael. Maybe you showed this, maybe Andre got fired and, this random drug dealer is trying to sell him some drugs and he turns him away. But then maybe we see on the next shot, Mike is, minding his own business, and we just see an over-the-shoulder shot of somebody trying to offer him drugs or exchange phone numbers or something, but we never see that it's Rod's face until we get to Rod's episode or Andre's episode. The hospital scene where you see Michael going to see his mom and you see like the group of people coming out of Taser's room. Right now, the group ain't necessarily the ones who we saw with the powers. So it just seemed like that was unnecessary for this episode. Unless the group later on becomes the people that Taser and them needs to fight. It just seemed like we could have just had these moments in passing where you kind of see certain people off the periphery of Michael while keeping the focus on Michael's discovery and Michael's journey through this episode. What I wish we would have gotten instead of Andre and Rod specifically, I wish, and Taser, to be honest. Maybe we could have kept Taser because Taser did stab him, but specifically instead of Rod and Andre, we could have maybe gotten more information about or scenes with Michael researching this mysterious agency to help with sickle cell. What made him reach out? What made him trust them with his mother's care? What is going on with his mother's care? Is he scared? Does he feel that he's at risk? We don't see him and Dion go to the mom together. We don't really see anything. So like he's bought a house with this woman, he wants to propose, but we don't really see like a dynamic of how much his mother means to him. And I think that we could have done without Rod and Andre in this episode while still keeping Sabrina and Taser, because they were still in places where Michael was. And so then when you got the big reveal at the end and you see all these different people, it's like, oh my God, that was the person from the beginning. Oh my God, that was the drug dealer. But we already saw every single one of them come into power. So yeah, that's my biggest critique. The second one, it was really hard to keep up with the names. So on the closed captions with Netflix, I'm sorry, y'all. I don't know if this is a recap, a review, I don't know. But I'm used to, I'm not a closed captions person, but now that I'm recapping, I put the closed captions on because when people are talking, scenes, people walk into a room and nobody's saying anybody's name, they're just talking. But in other platforms, it'll still have like the bracket with that character's name. Whether it's like bartender 1, woman 2, or the actual name of a principal character. And so with Netflix, I noticed until the character introduced the other person's name, you didn't know who was talking. So it was a lot of man and woman and mumbling and this and that and third, which is why I didn't know who Mike was until I was like a few minutes into the episode. I didn't know who Michael was. And it wasn't until his friend called his name that I realized who he was. So I don't know if that was like this show that did this, or now I'm gonna have to pay attention to more Netflix closed captions, because I really had to really pay attention to who was who. Outside of that, because those are things that I can't change. The episode is already out. The season is already done. I think that this show is what we thought we were gonna get when we wanted to go to the movies to see the magical book of Negroes. These are the things that we want. We want fantasy. We want random people waking up with powers, not because of some huge solar eclipse or anything like that, but shoot, they was just going throughout their day and they was getting a little frustrated, and now all of a sudden we done activated some superpowers in there because we're mad. And I like that their superpowers are activated from a place of frustration, from a place of anger, and from a place of fear, because it also highlights the way that we go through the world as Black people and as people of color. And so it's like situations and circumstances are always kind of putting you down and knocking you down. And in those moments, it's you in real life, without the fantasy of it all, you're just like, man, I wish I had some superpowers. I wish I had this. I wish I had that, because you're just getting beat down. So it's really nice to see a show put them in those same situations and in those same circumstances. And in that, we unlocked, we tapped in, tap in. So I really like the premise of it. And I hope, because the pilot was the pilot and you really had to get people on board, I hope that between episodes 2 and 6, it paces out. That's what I hope. And that's not necessarily the writers or the show's fault. Like I said, shows don't live 8 seasons, 20 something seasons anymore. You get a really good show on a network and it's great, but if a number of people don't watch it in the first 10 days, then they don't get renewed. And so we're left with a lot of cliffhangers. So I've noticed a lot of streaming shows try to answer all the questions in 1 or 2 episodes. So I hope that everybody's tuning in and it reaches the numbers that Netflix requires to renew it for a season 2. And I'm interested in checking out the rest of the season. So I know this was an interesting recap. It was interesting to watch, honestly. And being a writer, being an actor, being somebody who's been behind the scene, I probably gave a lot of information that maybe the average person wouldn't see or know how to explain, but that's why I'm here. I podcast how I podcast. I recap how I recap. Like, it just is what it is. And I hope that it was informational and educational, so that as you continue to watch the rest of the episodes, you'll kind of see like how they're setting up these nuggets, because episode 1 definitely gave me, they're setting up all the plot lines. But I'm ready to get back into this dungeon, this prison. I'm really ready, because we don't know that. And that's what I like. Like, it's the unknown, and this mom being the mom to these different people and these different characters, and how everybody ties together. I'm really interested to see how that plays out. So there's that. Our recap of Supacell season 1, episode 1. Check it out on Netflix. Binge it. Let me know how you like it, if it's for you, if it's not for you, or just recommend it to somebody who really needs to see Black people with superpowers. Okay, at the end of the day, it does not hurt to just press play and have it playing in the background. Okay, support Black actors, support Black entertainment. And with that being said, I will catch y'all in the next one.